Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 9 at Woodbine on Woodbine Oaks. Saturday is the Grade 2 King Edward Stakes. We're going to 1 turn mile on the E.P. Taylor turf course. Let's take a look at this field. There's a lot of speed in this race, Mike. Silent Poet is fast. Admiralty Pier is fast. Mr. Ritz is fast. And you got to think that a horse like March to the Arch, one of your all-time favorites, is finally going to get a pace set up.
It's really, I mean, if he doesn't get a pace set up in here, I guess he's never going to get one. There's a lot of speed in this race. I don't want to say it's, class relief for this horse, Dan, but it feels like it's maybe a little bit of a better spot for him than the ones he's been running in. We'll see if he can show up and run his best race. If he does, he's supposed to be really tough in here.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Again, we're expecting it to be fast. Mr. Ritz, I wonder if Mr. Ritz is the horse that's going to make the lead, Mike, because while Silent Poet is fast, Silent Poet has shown a rating gear in the past, and Admiralty Pier was very, very aggressively ridden last time out. I wonder if he's just going to sit back and let the two speeds to the inside do the dirty work and take advantage of his outside post position. Mr. Ritz might be the speed. This might not be his surface, though.
It might not be his surface. Perhaps Silent Poet will be the speed, Dan, and this might not be necessarily his distance. He might want to go a little shorter than this. It'll be interesting to see what happens with those two. I agree with you, though. I sort of felt like Admiralty Pier would be the one maybe to back off a little bit.
Let's talk about the number 1 Dreammaker. 20-1 on the morning line. His last race was his first start off a 1.5-year layoff, and I loved how they rode him. They showed good speed. They got a lot of fitness into him that day. He understandably tired in his first start of the layoff. And then you look at this pedigree. He's a full brother to Dream Dancing, who's a Grade 1 stakes winner on the turf. And you just wonder if maybe this horse has been waiting for the surface switch all along.
It does sort of feel like that. I mean, he's certainly bred to be better on this surface. And then when you sort of start picking apart his form too, Dan, he ran some good races on dirt, but he was just very inconsistent. There would just be races where he wouldn't show up at all, and then sort of out of nowhere, he would jump up with a better race. It almost just feels like this horse might have been really crying out for a surface switch. I thought the race last time was a perfect prep. They let him get up there and duel the pace. He got tired, going 9 furlongs. I think that's absolutely perfect for this horse, and the surface switch is supposed to really help him.
Here's one of your favorites, March to the Arch. Multiple graded stakes winner, certainly a graded stakes winner and a multiple stakes winner. He's getting some class relief. There are no raging bulls in here. There are no social paranoias in here. There are no Factor This is in here. Factor This won last time out, and the Wise Dan beat this horse, came back to win his 4th in a row with the 99 Beyer speed figure. March to the Arch kicks late. You said to me before we came on, you're getting tired of his act. I am stunned.
Well, I mean, how much money can you really lose on one horse and then keep going back to the well? Listen, I've, spent plenty of time betting this horse. There are some races, I'll be honest, Dan, some of the losses recently where he didn't get the best of trips. We'll just see what happens. I sort of feel like he's going to be the favorite in here, and I just don't want to bet him again at a short price, but I do think he's the horse to beat.
Let's watch Mr. Ritz's last race. It's on his preferred synthetic surface, although he is a stakes winner on the turf, and he was just able to make the lead here. And once he went 24-1 for the opening quarter mile, it was all over but the shouting, but he finishes it off in fine form. And this is a horse on synthetic, at least you know what you're going to get. It's a Beyer speed figure between 95 and 98, and sometimes it's good enough to win. Now, can he transfer that form to the turf? He couldn't last year in the King Eddie. It all depends on trip for him, and I'm just not sure if he's going to get an easy trip on the lead.
I didn't think he was either, and I do think he's a better synthetic horse. His turf form's not terrible. He's a really good horse. If somehow he goes to the front and they just sort of back off him and think that this isn't his surface and, they let him get comfortable up there, he'll be really hard to run down, Dan. I couldn't really talk myself into him.
Argentello was on the pace last time out at Indiana Grand. I don't think that's going to happen here with the plethora of other speeds he's going to be facing. That was, however, one of his better performances going to the front and sitting third. I think he's slowly getting better for Connor Murphy, who's an underrated trainer. I'm just not sure he's good enough to win a race like this.
I don't love any of his 3 races since he's gotten over here. He has good form going back to when he was a 3-year-old in Europe, but his races over here just didn't do a lot for me.
Let's watch Silent Poets win in the Grade 2 Connaught Cup. He and Admiralty Pier hooked up for about 3 furlongs. And it looks like Admiralty Pier on the outside has got the better of Silent Poet. And Silent Poet just says, oh, no, you don't. You're not going to get the better of me on this afternoon. Silent Poet digs down deep and wins it. And when you look at this horse's overall form, Mike, the only 2 times he didn't show up in his life were in the Queen's Plate and the Woodbine Mile. Every other race has been good.
Yeah, he's just rock solid. He's got a lot of speed, but he doesn't need to be on the front to run his best race. Again, I feel like the only question really with him is he quite as good at a mile? I do really feel like he might be better going a little bit shorter than this, but he's a rock solid horse. He's going to take a ton of beating in here.
Eskiminzin's come back in really good form this year at the age of 5. 2 starts, one going 2 turns on the inner turf at 7.5 furlongs, and then this race cutting all the way back to 3/4 of a mile on the E.P. Taylor. He's down inside right now, and he's just waiting for his seam. And there it is. In between horses, black cap, beige silks. He splits them, and he's very, very professional. This is a horse that needs to run a little bit faster. He's taken a big step up in class, but he's come back in good form.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock his last 2 races. I like them both. I thought he ran really well in this win in particular, but he's going to have to do better than that against this field.
We saw Admiralty Pier's last race. He couldn't get past Silent Poet. I know there are a lot of folks that are disappointed that he didn't get the job done, but it was also soft turf, and maybe 7/8 is a little sharp for him.
I don't think that's his best distance, Dan. This horse is good enough to win this race. Listen, I've spent a lot of time chasing him, and I know that he, finally got through with that big Grade 3 win at Tampa early this year at a really big price. Of course, I didn't have him then. I don't really want to, go back to him in this race, but he can win.
Juddmonte Farm Homebred Delaware by the great Frankel, coming off a good second-place finish for Chad Brown. First-time Lasix, first-time blinkers, lots to like, maybe except the price. Let's watch Delaware's last race at Belmont Park, going 7/8. He's in between horses in the familiar Juddmonte colors, pink and green, and while he's in behind horses, I don't really think the traffic issues are what's causing him. He's just getting outrun to the wire.
That's how I looked at it too. I thought this was a good spot for this horse, and at the end of the day, I just didn't think he ran that well. His first defense off the layoff, I mean, obviously he has the excuse built in there because it was his first start in a while. But I didn't think he ran that well that day either. Just wasn't that sharp in that race. Maybe he'll take a big step forward in here, Dan, but I'm not betting this horse at a short price.
I had a lot of problems handicapping this race as we take a look at our top selections, and I went with an in-form horse that's going to need a lot of luck. And Mr. Ritz is going to need a lot of luck in this race, but I wonder if maybe he forces Silent Poet and Admiralty Pier to take a seat and at least takes him a long way. I think he'll be dismissed on the tote as merely being a synthetic horse. Dreammaker, that's a really interesting pick for you. Bred for the turf, should get the right setup, and has always hinted at potential, plus you're getting your price.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I'm with you. I had a really tough time with this race. I just felt like a lot of different horses can win, and I just think this horse is really interesting getting to a surface that he's supposed to really like. I almost put your horse on top. I went with the bigger price at the end of the day.
1358 for Mike, 3572 for me. It's the Grade 2 King Eddie. We're going a mile on the E.P. Taylor turf course. Approximate post time 5:22 Eastern. Good luck.